warm up and warm down on the road. We're starting our program tonight with a young lady and gentleman who have made a name for themselves not only in Saintfield and the surrounding parishes but on television. We have Shannon to open the show, followed very closely with her cousin Mark, and then we will leave it over to Liam and his orchestra, who will be accompanied by our very popular choir. Am I saying the right things? Yes. Again, very welcome. And on with the show. Shannon, if you come, choose your own microphone. And here's my girlfriend here.
Son, behold thy mother.
The star of our show tonight is going to take over from here. I won't be comparing. Fr.Liam will compare the show now. And a big round of applause for Fr.Liam, Lawton.
Please welcome Fr.Liam, Lawton.
pleasure and an honour to be here in this beautiful, beautiful church. And thank you, Father Tony, for your very kind welcome. But before I say anything else, what a treat it was to hear Shannon and Mark, and put your hands together for them. Some of this before in Bangor last year, but I had been away. I was away in the United States, and this Mark here sent me an email, and he said, Mark Mundy is on Facebook. And I sent back a text and he said, sorry, who's Mark Mundy? Because at that stage I didn't realise Mark was our guest artist. He said, go look at Facebook. So I was down in California, I think it's work there, and I went on Facebook, and I'll admit before you all, I cried. I was so moved by it, and I have to say that it's a beautiful rendition, and Bring Him Home will always be different for me now. So Mark, well done last week in the little show. I know that Declan is here tonight, so I'm really delighted to have you here with us, Declan. And later on, Mark is going to sing one of my songs, which he interprets beautifully as well. So you all in good form? Yes. And you in good voice? Yes. Sounds a little bit pathetic. I know you had to get up an hour earlier, but... So, well, for those of you who've never heard of me before, I'm thrilled to see the place sold out. But there are three groups of people who come to my concerts. There are the people who know my music, there's a few of them around. And then there are the people who are a little bit curious, and they come along maybe to support the charity as well. And the last group, which I really have great respect for, and they're the husbands who are dragging on by the waist. And so there are a few of them around. So if you're one of them, and I know because Ireland are playing Poland as well tonight, and all of that stuff. So we won't tell you the score, I promise, before the night's over. But thank you for joining us. I've been writing music for about 20 years now. And so I'd like to bring you on a little journey as I tell you the stories about the songs, because for me the story is more or even as important as the song itself. So this song, the next song, is one which is called Fr.Liam, isn't it? Try to see this. And I was very lucky and fortunate to meet Walter Teresa a couple of times. When she was alive. So you can imagine the size of me beside the size of her. But when she died, her community asked me if I would look after a memorial service for her for England and Ireland, which would be held in Knock, and maybe I would write something for it. And so I didn't know where to start writing, because her life is so really immense in so many different ways. I know she would want a piece about herself. So to help me, they sent me the last letter that she wrote to the community before she died. Kind of the last encouraging letter to them. And there were 4 lines in that which I picked out. She said, if you walk the mile with the one whom nobody else will journey with, if you embrace or hold the one that nobody else will touch, if you shed tears for the one who cannot cry themselves, and if you love the one who has no love for themselves, what you will receive back is far beyond what you'll ever imagine. And I've called the piece then simply Far Beyond. Far beyond all dreaming, far beyond the place of despair, far beyond you will find His love. for 200 years before you write something or you see your name. The next song was one of the first pieces I wrote, and I often hear people saying, "You didn't write that." Sure, that's like years ago. But I was very lucky. I grew up in a home that was bilingual. My father comes from a Lawton down in Cork. And so I grew up in the Midlands of Ireland, in County Offaly, but we had Irish in our home as well. And I ended up actually teaching Gaelic, as my sister does at the moment as well. So this next one I'm going to sing in Irish and English. I wrote it first. The very first collection of music that I wrote was totally Australian. And I love the Irish language. I love singing, and I love Irish music as well. But then a lot of people wanted to sing it. It got very popular for weddings. And so I wrote an English version of it as well. And a lot of the times it's used as a psalm for weddings. This is, if you know any of these, sing them along with me as well. Or make up the words. I don't mind. This is called A Hiding Place. One or two pieces totally Australian, and I'd like to do this one for you because it's so appropriate. It was actually written for this week, for Holy Week. And this piece of music actually has its origins way back in the 14th century. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing 54 verses or anything like that. I'll sing 53. And it's a beautiful piece of music. I learned this from a sean-nós singer. My grandmother was a sean-nós singer, but I didn't learn this one from her. I learned it from a sean-nós singer from Connemara. I spoke to somebody earlier about Connemara. And Siosua Heaney was a great mentor of sean-nós singing. And this song, as I said, goes back to the 14th century. During the penal days in Ireland, it was very, very difficult, particularly to practice faith in Ireland. Many people learn songs in the oral tradition and they hand it down from generation to generation. So what happens is you begin to hear songs, they're similar but a little bit different. So there was a version of this in the north of Ireland here in Donegal, there was a version in Connemara, and there was a version also in the south of Ireland. And in that time as well, during Holy Week, particularly in Europe, all the great churches and the great faiths had passion plays. And there was some beautiful music, and themes were written around these passion plays. And in different places, they actually emphasized the different characters that walked with Jesus through his death and his passion and death, and on to the resurrection. In Ireland, sadly, because of the difficulty it was to practice the faith, it wasn't so. But the people had a great affinity with the mother, Mary, the mother of Jesus, particularly because she was a suffering mother, and she understood the poverty and the suffering of people. So this is where this piece emerges. And what it is in fact, unlike Europe, where Mary was the Madonna and seen in beautiful imagery, in Ireland she was Mohammed, the mother of Jesus. And so the song is written in a local dialect, and it's a conversation between Mary and Peter. And she's looking everywhere for Jesus. She cannot find him. She says to Peter, "Have you seen my son anywhere? You know the little boy that was born in Bethlehem, who grew up, who went missing, and performed great miracles." And then suddenly she stops and looks into the distance and is quite taken aback. And she said, "Please don't tell me that's he who's hanging on the passion tree," which is, of course, the cross. And each line is punctuated with a real old Irish word, which they reckon goes back thousands of years, a hole, which really can, best translation is the word alas. I think it's full of feeling and pathos. So this is, I suppose, so appropriate as we journey into Holy Week this week. This is called The Lament of the Virgin, by Queen Lawton.
Thank you.
love to be sitting down there for a night, listening to it. Over the years, and please God, Mark will be one of them, I've had the great honour to write for different artists. And this next song I wrote for Roy Brennan from Clonard. As a young fellow growing up, I just fell in love with her voice. And I really, really loved the sound of Clonard. They really, I suppose because I loved Irish as well. So a few years ago, I was doing a collection of music, and Moy was one of those we asked to sing, and she readily agreed. So I live in Carlow. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but so for some downtime or some inspiration, I crossed the mountain near me, about 3/4 of an hour away from me, is a beautiful place called the Valley of the Saints, or otherwise known as Glendalough. I don't know if you've been there. Maybe someday go there before you die anyway. I know the glens up here and everything, but this is a really spectacular, beautiful place. And to go into Glendalough, I had to go up the mountain, and then you look down to the valley below, and there you see the old Celtic settlement, or the monastic settlement, I should say, the 2 lakes, and then surrounded by all the forestry. Well, we know that from 5th, 6th, 7th century, people were making their way there. Right through very difficult terrain as well, to try and get to the place for prayer, for healing, for help in some way. But also people were going abroad on pilgrimages as well, to places like Santiago de Compostela, the Camino, or further to the Holy Land. And they used to go from Dublin, from St. James's Gate, which is beside Guinness's. Guinness's was there long afterwards. But it's just there, where Guinness factory is, St. James's Gate. Pilgrims used to congregate to start their walk to Santiago de Compostela. But then the war happened between the Crusades, between the Saracens and the Christians, and it became very dangerous. So people no longer went as pilgrims in the great numbers that they did. But somebody devised circles at the back of the great cathedrals. The first one is in Chartres in France. And these were called labyrinths, in which they would walk around, because really a pilgrim is a journey to the heart, really. So you would walk around reflecting on your life until you got to the centre. The first one we know of, one of the first, appeared in Glendalough in the 11th century. And unlike the one in Chartres, this was carved in a stone. So you stood with your index finger and you went around like this, reflecting and praying as you did it. If you go there now, there's a full labyrinth there. So I wanted to write a song about the labyrinth because I was always very intrigued by it. And in the song there's a series of echoes, because I think that echoes and sound transverse the generations of people and pilgrims who went there. And of course, Moya Brennan did a beautiful job of her theory of voice. Sadly, she's not here tonight, she had to do with me. But this is the song, it's called Labyrinth.
To
themselves hold their own stories. And if the walls could speak, what a tale they would tell. I also think that how privileged I am really to stand in the steps here with so many good people before me stood, and also how many people were baptized here, how many people over the years were married here, how many people were confirmed here, and eventually how many people left here to go to their eternal home. And you might be sitting there thinking of someone you love yourself, who's recently passed on, somebody from the community who helped to build these communities, and particularly as well, I'm delighted to know that there are people here from the other communities as well, and other faiths, which is really, really important for us. We all worship the one God. And I think of the people in the past who in some way offered to the community to build it and make it what it is. So this song is about this. It's a song of remembering those who are no longer with us. And it's a song called There Is a Place. And if you know this, I'm afraid I'd love to sing it with you. we always lock the front doors at the break, so you can't go home. But yeah, it'd be nice to be able to stretch your legs as well. We have CDs and stuff out in the lobbies there. You can have a look at those. There's one for everyone in the audience. So I'm going to finish the song with this song. This is another Irish song. I wanted to include this one. This had a really interesting history, this song. The text is 300 years old, and I put it to music, and I wrote a refrain for it, and I did it for a special. It was for when Edmund Rice was beatified. And the reason I did was because he was very friendly with a wandering poet, a bard around Munster, who was a political poet, a satirist. And he used to go to a tavern, an alehouse, to listen. He loved music. And so did Edmund Rice. And so they would sit on two stools, one not knowing who the other was. And eventually Edmund Rice had a great influence. They became close friends. And he changed from being a political satirist to writing some of the most beautiful, loved, religious poetry that we have from the 18th century. And so I wanted to take a piece of his and set it to music. And so I did that, but I didn't know that a guy from Norway heard it. And he took it away, and he had it recorded with a boy band over there. Talk about One Direction. This was the One Direction of Scandinavia. They were called State. You should have seen the state of them. But all these good-looking new Norwegian blonde fellas singing in Irish, a religious song. They probably had a clue what they were singing about. But it went to number 2 in the charts, and then it was recorded here by Brian Kennedy for me, and I think it's been recorded just lately again by a tenor group over in Norway as well. This is our version. This is simply called Alleluia, and I'm sure the fathers will forgive me for singing Alleluia during Holy Week. Here we go. We'll keep on searching for truth to set us free, and we will find the answers, become what we should be. Maybe someday, maybe somewhere, we'll leave your dreams. common with Dolly Parton. But she, in her autobiography, which is really interesting, she talks about songs and how when you write songs, that each song can mean very something special to you. And this song that I'm going to do for you, of all the songs I've written, it's probably one that really means an awful lot to me. I was encouraged all my life to write music, or to play music by my uncle, who was a great musician. And we were just about to play together for a lot of charity events, and he was killed tragically in a road accident. My life just kind of disintegrated after it. It's 15 years ago, and I didn't want to write again, I didn't want to sing again, I didn't want to play music, I didn't want to hear music. One day, about 6 weeks afterwards, I was teaching at the time. This woman who was in a choir I'd been working with made a card for me, a beautiful homemade symbol card, written across the front of it, in 2 lines were the words of an old Irish prayer from Kerry. It said, "When the sun is veiled from the sky, remember I'm still there." That's exactly how I felt walking around in this grey cloud all the time. And it was a catalyst for, I suppose, that kind of healing process in my life. And I sat down and I wrote the words of this piece of music, which we're going to sing for you now. And the reason I'm telling you is that sometimes when we are broken ourselves, we don't realise that maybe that's the time that God can use us most. And what happened was we began to sing the song, but then the fateful day of 9/11 happened, and we all know the story out there. And the day after it, my publishers were in America rang me to say that they were putting together music for the memorial services, and would I allow my song to be sung? And I said, absolutely, of course. And they said because of all the songs, the images in the songs were the most appropriate, and the dark clouds veiled the sky, and obviously you know why. So the first funeral was sung for was Father Michael Judge. He was the first person to die on 9/11. Remember his story. And then many of the fire officers and the police officers as well. And there was if you've never been to Ground Zero, there was a small church, I think it's an Episcopalian church, which is just at the edge of Ground Zero. And it's there that many of the wounded and dying were brought on that terrible day. And now it's become a place of pilgrimage for their families. And if you go there are thousands of photographs on the wall of all those who died there. And in the middle of the photographs are written the words of this piece of music. I'm so thrilled to have the choir with me here to sing. This is called The Clouds Veil. Even though it hides the stars, even though the swirls lie, really, truly, no, I shouldn't say no, it's been an absolute privilege to share with you this evening. And there's so many people I want to thank, but especially I want to thank Audrey over here. Where is she?
Not here.
Where is she down here? Last year in Bangor, wasn't it? And she said, we'd love to have a concert here. So, and it's special thanks about to Father Tony for having this in this beautiful, beautiful church as well. Father Tony, thank you so much. And he very kindly asked me, I know it's Holy Week, but he asked me to announce to you that there will be refreshments for everybody after the concert. There'll be a cup of tea and a bun, I'm not too sure what, when you go home. I love doing that around the country. Some old PTs almost get heart attacks as they see their profits of the night dwindle. But I'm delighted to be here, and I'm delighted that you have your new organ as well, and I wish you every success. And you're so lucky to have a good choir like this as well, and long, long way to last, particularly this week. So I'll be at the back for confession on the way. We're going to finish with a song called Benedictus. This means blessing. We pray it in the office every day, our morning prayer. But for you, it's my blessing for you and all your loved ones for Easter. May you have a happy and holy Easter. And God bless you all. Thank you so much for having us. Bird told me that this was Father Tony's 50th anniversary this year. So this song is my grandmother sang this, I'm sure your own grandmother did, all our grandmother did. This is one of my favourite songs. It's one of the most beautiful songs written.